Today's case involves a complaint filed against you, Ms. Palmer, for lease violations.
So on October 20th, Opal was served with a 30-day notice to vacate, notice to check tenancy. And this was due to the unsanitary conditions of her apartment. Um, since 2021, she has been served various lease violations, all due to the conditions of her apartment. Um, in the On October 6th, she was actually served with a lease violation and was informed that she would be getting a follow-up inspection of the apartment on the 20th to ensure, to make sure that the apartment was brought up to sanitary conditions. However, unfortunately, on the 20th, when we went into the apartment, the unit was still in very unsanitary conditions. I did attach the photos that were taken on the 20th with the 30-day notice of tenancy, termination of tenancy, to be able to show the court the condition of the apartment during the reinspection of the cure.
Today's case is about a complaint filed against Miss Palmer for lease violations. On October 20th, she was served with a 30-day notice to vacate due to unsanitary conditions in her apartment. Since 2021, she has received multiple lease violation notices. On October 6th, she was notified of a follow-up inspection. The inspection on the 20th showed the apartment still in poor condition. Photos from that date were attached to show the court the state of the unit. This inspection aimed to ensure the apartment met sanitary standards. Unfortunately, it remained unsanitary.
Time. So this was the inspection to make sure that the apartment was in good condition. This was the condition that we found it in. So started with a 30-day notice, with a notice to vacate by November 19th. On November 18th, Opal and a few of her representatives had asked to meet with the management team, apartment manager, to see if there was anything we can do to help them. We did meet with myself, our service coordinator, and the service coordinator. We did meet with Opal, her emergency contact at the time. We met with Ms. Christy Oliver, which is her Medicare representative, and her hospice representatives. During that meeting, we expressed the conditions of the unit and how it has been this way over a period of time.
The 30-day notice required her to vacate by November 19th. On November 18th, Ms. Palmer and representatives requested a meeting with management. The meeting included the service coordinator, her emergency contact, and her Medicare and hospice representatives. During this, management explained the ongoing issues in the apartment. There was no long-term improvement observed. They discussed options for assisted living or nursing homes. Next voice. Next voice. Miss Palmer and her contacts requested 30 to 45 extra days to find a suitable nursing home. The consensus was that a nursing home was the best solution. The service coordinator contacted Woodway Regency to secure a room. The room was intended to prevent homelessness. Unfortunately, Miss Palmer and her emergency contact declined the room. Despite this, management still allowed 30 to 45 days for her to move out. They waited until January 3rd, the 45th day, before taking further legal action.
And there has not been any long-term demonstration of correcting this. And so in that meeting, they had asked both Miss Christy Oliver and William Padilla, her emergency contact at the time, and Opal, they had all asked that we give Opal an extended time frame of 30 to 45 days for her to be able to find a nursing home that would be good for her, or assisted care facility that would be good for her. We did talk about various other alternative plans. I think the consensus that day was a nursing home. Matter of fact, Williams particularly mentioned Woodway, the Woodway nursing home, Woodway Regency. it was from my understanding that our service coordinator did reach out to Woodway Regency and was able to secure her a room at Woodway Regency. So then she wouldn't be homeless or wouldn't be out on the streets or anything like that. And unfortunately, that was declined. That moved to Woodway Regency. However, we did say that we would give them the 30 to 45 days to move out. And so we followed through with our end of that bargain, and we waited until January 5th, which would have been the 45th day. And so, I'm sorry, January 3rd, which would have been that 45th day. After that's when we decided to go ahead and pursue with the court.
The notice to vacate was hand-delivered to Miss Palmer. She declined the nursing home offer, and no other living arrangements were planned. Management continued to wait through the 30 to 45-day period. The defense emphasized that attempts were made to help her. Pest control was provided monthly at an extra cost of $159 due to severe roach infestations. Efforts to clean the unit were ineffective, causing problems in adjacent apartments as well.
To execute this tenancy, termination of tenancy.
Okay. So I just want to make sure, just jot down a couple of notes. Notice to vacate was given to the tenant on October 20th.
Correct.
How was this given to the tenant?
It was hand delivered to him.
Okay, would you personally delivered it to Miss Palmer?
Ms. O. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And there was an agreement that was declined. Tell me a little bit more about that. What do you mean by decline?
So they had asked to give an additional 30 to 45 days to be able to find a more reasonable place for Opal to transition into. And so in that meeting, it was talking about the Woodway Regency nursing home would have been the ideal nursing home for her to go to. Everybody was in agreement. Our service coordinator worked diligently to get the Woodway Regency to be able to secure Ms. Opal a room with the Woodway Regency nursing home. And when it came time to sign the documents to be able to accept that room, Ms. Opal and William, her
Neighbor statements documented foul smells coming from her unit. These statements were signed but not sworn. The defense proceeded with opening statements, clarifying that testimony was under oath. Ms. Palmer's procedural rights were noted regarding federal housing laws. Brook Oaks is federally funded and subject to HUD regulations. The defense questioned whether the 30-day notice complied with federal law, including VAWA protections.
Contact declined to be able to accept that room. And so as far as we knew after that, we didn't know what other living arrangements they were planning to do. And so at that time, we just continued to wait out that 30 to 45 days that they had asked for to vacate the property.
Judge, do you mind if I add something?
This is your case. Go ahead.
I do want to point out that Carlos tried working with Miss Opal. It's never our intention to put anyone out, but he tried working with her to give her the chance to clean up her unit. In addition to the unsanitary conditions of her unit, it caused roaches, a severe roach infestation in her unit. In which we treated her monthly for, and we have documentation of that from the pest control company. We actually paid an extra $159 a month specifically to treat her unit over several months. But due to the fact that she did not clean her unit, the treatments were ineffective.
Mr. Carlos Luna testified as the property manager. He began explaining the conditions of Miss Palmer's apartment. Questions focused on the apartment's age and the average resident age. Brook Oaks restricts residents to 62 and older and those under the poverty line due to federal funding. Exhibit A showed deed restrictions and federal requirements. He confirmed receiving emails and documents about federal housing restrictions. The VAWA requirement was explained as needing specific eviction notice language.
So, we were asking for her effort and her input, on her side to clean the unit in order for the treatment to be effective, but it was not. And in addition, it caused other roach issues for the adjacent units next to her. So I did want to add that, we tried working with her, but it seems that either, I don't know if she was unable to clean. I know that she had a aide that would come to help her during the day. And Carlos had, conversations with that person as well to try to get that person to assist with cleaning her unit to no avail.
Okay. All right. Anything else? I'll move on to the defendant.
The last part I wanted to add to it, Judge, is that in the documents that I presented to you, you will see some witness statements in there. Those witness statements are from her neighbors who claim that there's such a foul smell coming from her unit that they are no longer able to keep their doors open due to the smell from her apartment.
Are these statements sworn statements?
They were
The deed restrictions and affordable housing agreements were read aloud. The property owner and sponsor are jointly responsible. Mr. Luna confirmed awareness of federal compliance rules. The 30-day termination notice lacked VAWA language. Photos were taken on October 2nd and 20th to document apartment conditions. The October 20th photos showed extensive filth, debris, and roach activity. These photos were attached to the termination notice.
statements that they wrote out and signed, so I just included them with the packet.
Are they sworn statements?
No, these are just their own statements.
Okay. Anything else? I'll move on to the defendant.
No, sir.
That being said, you may proceed with the defense.
Your Honor, I prepared an opening statement along with some questions for the plaintiff. If that's how I would be able to proceed.
No, you can proceed with the opening statements, but kind of lead into the question. So here's one thing that I didn't say. I do have a licensed attorney here. So with that being said, by you giving testimony, you will get cross-examined. And that's just, it's a civil proceeding. All right. And so by her asking you statements, you're already on the oath, and you would, need to respond to the questions that are being asked. Okay. So with that being said, please proceed.
Good morning, Your Honor. Miss Opal Palmer has been a longtime resident of Brook Oaks and should not be evicted today for two reasons. The first is a procedural reason in that Brook Oaks notice is improper because it lacks certain language required by federal law. Second is that
the kitchen had grime on counters, stove handles, and floors. Food and trash were piled up. Roaches were present near the butter bowl. Under the refrigerator, 6 inches of debris and active roaches were found. Additional photos showed grime extending toward the carpet and support poles. Bathroom sinks also had visible dirt. The front door showed roach activity. While some clutter had been removed, the unit remained unsanitary.
Miss Opal's apartment is not unclean to render an eviction. So I would like to call Mr. Carlos Luna to testify about Miss Opal's apartment, basically.
Okay. Mr. Luna, you're already under oath.
Okay.
Mr. Luna, what is your current position at Brook Oaks?
I am the property manager.
And how long have you held that position?
since the end of September.
Of 2025?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you worked in apartment management before coming to Brook Oaks?
I worked in property management, not apartment management.
What would you say is the average age of the residents of Brook Oaks?
I would say in the 70s.
Does Brook Oaks have restrictions on who can live there, like age and income?
62 and over, and they have to fall under the poverty line.
Do you know why there are restrictions on the property?
Because we are funded through HUD.
So you are federally funded, correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, I would like to admit
Mr. Luna confirmed pest control records showed only her unit was treated monthly. Miss Palmer has lived in the apartment since 2009. Other apartments did not experience similar issues. Monthly pest control began in January 2022. The apartment had not been updated since 2009. Worn appliances are normal for age, but cleanliness is the issue. Pest control invoices were received late. The apartment's condition worsened over time.
Exhibit A, and I've shared the exhibits with Mr. Luna via email. This is a certified deed of the federal restrictions on this property. Mr. Luna, did you receive my email with the various documents?
I did. I was unaware of what they were pertaining to, but yes, I did receive those.
Mr. Luna, are you able to open that email right now so I can ask you a question about this document?
Give me 1 second. Okay, so what's the document name?
I believe I named it restrictions or deed restrictions. It is the title is deed restrictions for rental project.
Okay, I see it. Yes.
Okay. Can you read that first paragraph aloud?
Let me zoom in, actually. I'm sorry, it's really small, so I'm going to zoom in, download it, and zoom in. The Deed Restrictions and Affordable Housing Program, AHP, Recapture Agreement. This recapture agreement is entered into the 14th day of November 2007 between Central National Bank, Brook Oak Senior Residences, a Texas nonprofit corporation, and Mercy Housing Incorporated, a Nebraska not-for-profit corporation, in its capacity as a sponsor for the Affordable Housing Program project, hereinafter Mercy Housing Incorporated, in its capacity as sponsor in reference as sponsor. The bank owner and sponsor are jointly referred to as parties.
Thank you. Are you aware that when apartments are federally subsidized, they must comply with federal laws when it comes to eviction?
Yes.
Have you heard of the Violence Against Women Act, often called VAWA?
Yes.
Are you aware that this act requires specific language in the notice to evict for federally subsidized housing?
It is from my understanding that it is required if the tenant.
The first lease violation was in 2021, escalating through 2022. Cleaning issues persisted despite efforts. Mr. Luna emphasized that Miss Palmer's level of care was insufficient. Brook Oaks aims to provide a safe environment. Presentations from home health care and hospice services are optional for tenants. Miss Palmer has been generally cooperative with other tenants. She is considered a kind and sweet resident. No further cross-examination was needed.
Is a part of the VAWA program.
Do you have your 30-day notice of termination in front of you?
I do.
And Your Honor, I believe you have a copy of this 30-day. If you don't, I have that. You can have.
I have a copy of it.
Okay. Mr. Luna, on your 30-day notice of termination of tenancy dated October 20th, 2025, is there language on this document referring to the VAWA program?
I do not see it.
Thank you. Regarding the condition of Ms. Palmer's apartment, you mentioned that photos were taken when you went to inspect, correct?
Say that again?
Regarding the condition of Ms. Palmer's apartment, you mentioned that you took photos on October 2nd, correct?
October 20th.
Did you take photos at the initial inspection?
Our maintenance technician did.
In that
And that
email I
was
sent,
on October 2nd, yes.
can you pull up those photos in the email I sent you? Your Honor, I would like to admit Exhibit C. These are the photos taken on October 2nd.
Miss Palmer testified about her caregivers, Barbara and I. They help with cleaning, hygiene, meals, and groceries. Miss Palmer stated her apartment is clean and well-maintained. She can continue living there safely. Photos were presented showing a clean stove and refrigerator. Miss Palmer confirmed these accurately reflect her apartment. She considers her apartment her home. She feels capable of continuing to live there.
Mr. Luna, it's a one-page email. I don't know if you've seen it, but it has 7
Yes.
pictures on it. Okay. Were these those photos taken on October 2nd?
Yes.
Can you describe what you see in these photos?
Filth.
Can you be more specific?
There is debris all on the counters. You could see the stove handles are pretty, they have a lot of grime on the stove like you can see on the stove handles, there's a lot of grime. You can see grime on the countertops. You can see on the floor under this chair, you can see that there are, the flooring itself is really dirty. In the sink, you can see the grime within the sink. On the floors, you can see there's a lot of open food and trash that are piled on the counters. You can see inside and beneath the stove, refrigerator, all the grime that's on the floor and within the refrigerator.
Are there any pests taken or any photos of pests in these photos?
It looks like the one that's right beside the one that has the juice right there. There is 1 or 2 roaches right there near the butter bowl.
Which picture is this that we're referencing?
The
From
second
the-
picture.
Thank you. And you said that there were photos taken in October 2nd, 20th, correct?
Yes.
And are those photos the ones on the 30-day notice of termination?
Yes.
You can pull up that document.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you to go through each of these photos and kind of talk about what the issue is with each of these photos, starting with this first photo of what I believe is a kitchen sink.
Yeah, so on the kitchen sink, you could see that there has been residue that was left in the sink. That right there is pretty self-explanatory on that one. If we go on to the next one, you can see near the sink handle and above the sink, there you can see the grime. And even on the spray nozzle, there's a lot of grime. And it looks like even roach residue. We go on to the next page, you can see it's her backsplash, which is full of either what looks like roach poop to me, and or um, debris that has just been splashed back there and has not been cleaned. You can see the stove handles is still full of grime. The knobs. Furthermore, you can see the edge of the counter is full of grime. Go on to the next page. Even under the stove was I lifted the stove so you could, not the stove, but the cooktop, and you can see all the grime that had been spilt there and the crumbs that have been there over a period of time. And that's on both sides. The next one you can see where the fridge is pulled out. This one right here was pulled out because Ms. Palmer was in the apartment during this re-inspection, and I was trying to show Ms. Palmer all the debris that was in front of there was about 6 inches of this debris that was in front of the fridge. And I was trying to show Ms. Palmer this, and she told me that I was crazy, she don't see a mess. So I pulled it out. It is on wheels.
Caregiver Megan Johnson testified about daily assistance for Miss Palmer. She pays for groceries, cleaning supplies, and household maintenance. Johnson claims the eviction partly stems from maintenance photos. The refrigerator was not working during inspections. Johnson asserts Miss Palmer can continue living at Brook Oaks with current services. Photographs were taken after October 2nd and document ongoing care efforts. Miss Palmer was not present during the first inspection due to illness.
For a better visual for her, even seeing this, she still claimed that there was nothing wrong with that. But this right here is what was found underneath the refrigerator. You can see underneath the microwave that there is quite a bit of debris in and under that microwave.
So give me 1 second, Mr. Lone, going back to the picture that's on it, that you took for when you removed the refrigerator. What is that that's underneath? Since you were there, what could you identify what exactly is that underneath the refrigerator?
There was a lot of roaches. There was a lot of dirt, and I would assume old food.
These insects still alive, moving around, were they deceased?
There was movement.
Okay. You can proceed.
And then let me see. I'm sorry, I had these printed right in front of me, but I know there's more in this thing. So give me 1 second. So what you see over here near the planter thing, I wasn't necessarily trying to show the planter. I was trying to show all the grime that's along the floor. And this right here is probably the best lighting I could get to show the grime going towards the kitchen area, which is the white, where the white floor opens up towards, as well as the grime going towards her carpeted area. And so that right there was that. This right here is a pole within her kitchen. It's a support pole. You can see the roach activity on there. On these, they did appear to be deceased, but still there. The grime is still in the bathroom sinks, or sink, both within the bowl and around the faucets. Underneath the walker here, there is grime all along the which this right here seemed more to be dirt rather than grime, more like a sweep and mop type situation, but still it had not been swept or mopped. And that right there is with us giving notice that we'd be in that day. This right here is the following pictures with the pictures taped to the door. That right there is Opal's front door. and you can see the roach activity on and around that door.
Mr. Luna, looking at the pictures taken on October 2nd and the pictures taken on October 20th, it looks like Opal managed to remove the clutter seen in these photos. Do you agree?
Some of the clutter had been removed, but the cleaning list was not. It was still very dirty.
Mr. Luna, does your phone have the ability to zoom?
My phone, it does.
Yes. Yes.
Being
Mr.
in
Luna-
person is a lot more, it's a lot more noticeable in person than it is on the camera, though. Yes.
Mr. Luna, do you agree that there is not a clear shot or a clear picture of a cockroach in these photos?
I disagree. There are cockroaches all over the door, all over that support pole.
But you agree it's not a close-up photo of the cockroach?
I I agree. I did not want to get any. I wanted to be in and out of that apartment as quickly as possible due to the smell.
Mr. Luna, did you provide the court any pest control bills?
I received those pest control bills yesterday, and I was informed that the court needed to get all documents submitted within 5 days. I have the pest control bills in front of me, but they are that specify that only her apartment out of the 55 units we have, only specifically her apartment gets sprayed monthly for the 159. And I received that yesterday.
Mr. Luna, do you know how long Ms. Palmer has lived in her apartment?
Since January of 2009. She was the first person to live in that unit. First and only person.
With what you just described, why would this not be seen as normal wear of an apartment?
We have several people who's lived in the apartments this period of time, and their apartments are in no condition like this. Ms. Palmer also, it seems as if over the period of time is whenever the issues have gotten worse and worse. You can see in 2021 is when she got her first write-up for cleanliness, and then it has progressed over that time. In January, starting January 2022, is whenever the we went into contract with Orkin to spray her apartment each and every month. So it seems to be between 2021 and 2022 is when her issues really began to become more severe.
Has Ms. Palmer's apartment been updated since 2009?
It has not.
So her stove is from 2009, correct?
No, I know her refrigerator is in your refrigerator. I don't know the exact age of her stove, but we do replace the appliances as needed.
Is it reasonable that an 18-year-old appliance would look worn?
It is reasonable for it to look worn, yes. It can look worn being grime-free, though. There are several apartments that have been here since the beginning that don't look like
Did you provide those photos to the court?
that. I did not, as we are not having issues with those apartments.
Did you submit a letter to the court when you filed an eviction against Ms. Palmer?
Not when I filed an eviction to Ms. Palmer. The 30 days that you're speaking of. Are you talking about for this case?
For this case, I'm talking, from my understanding in the eviction packet, there was a letter dated from or sent from you to the court, kind of describing the
Yes,
circumstances. Okay.
yes, I wanted to give the judge an idea of what was discussed during that meeting when Opal and her representatives had asked for us to give them an additional 30 to 45 days for them to be out.
In this letter, you state that you were concerned that Ms. Palmer needs a higher level of care than what she is currently receiving, correct?
That was what was discussed within the meeting with all of us, yes.
Do you know the level of care Ms. Palmer receives?
I don't know, but judging by the condition of her apartment, I wouldn't want my mother or grandmother living in that sort of condition. And I got to put myself and I got to think that way whenever I'm working with senior citizens here and to be able to provide a good and safe quality community for these residents. And so with that mindset, I do know that the conditions of her apartment is not acceptable. And so whatever care she is getting at the time is not it's not up to par. She needs more care than what was receiving.
Mr. Luna, are you a healthcare professional?
No, I am not.
Mr. Luna, does Brook Oaks require tenants to attend presentations by healthcare businesses like home healthcare and hospice services?
Do we require them to? No.
Do you host such presentations?
We do allow vendors such as from hospice or home health care takers to come in and they'll either put on bingo or play Jeopardy or some sort of event. And within that, they are able to speak and engage with some of the residents to inform them of the services they offer.
Miss Palmer's refrigerator had failed, causing food to spoil. Cleaning supplies were purchased and used for maintenance. Eviction concerns included reported odors and dirty clothes. The slow drain in the sink contributed to odors. Caregiver Johnson did not submit work orders, but reported issues to management. Miss Palmer herself may not be able to call work orders. Apartment conditions varied due to heat, non-functional air conditioning, and disposal issues.
What happens if a tenant does not attend these presentations?
Nothing. It's completely optional if they want to go.
Does Opal harass other tenants?
Not that I'm aware of.
Does Opal cause any hysteric scenes at the apartment?
Hysteric scenes? No.
Other than your claims of cleanliness, has Opal been a good tenant?
Yes, Miss Opal is very sweet. Every conversation Opal and I've had have been a very positive and sweet, good interaction.
No further questions, Rob.
Okay. So this is opportunity for you, Mr. Luna, to pretty much clarify anything that you may have said under oath during the cross-examination. It's considered a redirect. You're your own representative in this case. So anything that you want to clarify during your cross-examination.
I think I was pretty clear within all of my answers. I think I'm good.
Move forward with your next witness.
Your Honor, I'd like to call Opal Palmer.
Ms. Palmer, you've already been sworn in. Please proceed.
Ms. Palmer, I'm going to ask you some questions. Ms. Palmer, how old are you?
84.
Do you have people in your apartment that help you?
Sure.
Do you know what their names are?
Barbara and Miss Ivy.
Yes. Do they help you clean?
Sure.
Do you have photos of your apartment that you would like the court to consider?
No, I don't.
You didn't bring any photos with you today?
No, I don't.
Ms. Palmer, if I showed you some photos, would you be able to tell the judge if that was your apartment?
Sure.
Were these photos shared with the plaintiff?
Yes, they were. So, Mr. Luna, I sent some photos. The first is a picture of a stove. Do you have that photo?
Yes, yes, I see it. Much
All right, Ms.
cleaner, much cleaner.
Ms. Palmer, I would like you to look through these photos right now
Mm-hmm.
and tell the judge if this is what your apartment looks like right now.
My apartment is clean. I'm a clean person. It looks real nice to me.
Are these photos of your apartment? Is
Sure.
that your refrigerator?
Uh-huh. Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Palmer, do you want to continue living at your apartment?
Of course, this is my home.
Do you feel like you can live there right now?
Of course.
No further questions of Ms. Palmer?
When were these pictures taken?
I have another witness who can testify to the exact date, Your Honor.
So the same rules apply. Mr. Luna, do you have any questions that you want to ask Ms. Palmer in regards to the testimony that she's provided?
You actually asked the question I was going to ask. When were these pictures taken? And how do we know if it's going to sustain to this level if tenancy were to continue?
So that is the first question. The other witness has to. I'll tell you what. Let's get through with the other witnesses before we can entertain that question. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Move on with your next witness.
Your Honor, I'd like to call Megan Johnson.
Ms. Johnson, you've already been sworn in. Ms. Johnson, if I can get you to come on up and take a seat here, saying that you.
The hearing addressed VAWA requirements. Notices must contain specific language under federal law. Brook Oaks falls under federal programs for elderly and low-income residents. Documentation and case law were provided to the court. Notices for eviction or assistance termination must comply with DSS provisions. The language ensures tenants are informed of their rights. This procedural detail could invalidate the eviction if omitted.
You can proceed with your witness.
Ms. Johnson, what is your relationship with Ms. Palmer?
I'm a caregiver and she's my friend.
How long have you been working with Ms. Palmer?
Maybe 2 years.
What kind of things do you help Ms. Palmer with?
I've paid a bill, I buy groceries, and these are out of my pocket at most times. Groceries, I pay for her clothes to be washed, I pay for her cleaning supplies, I clean her house, I do help her with her hygiene, I make sure she has hot meals every single night, even when I'm not supposed to be at work. I treat Miss Opal like she's my family.
Now, for Exhibit D, the pictures that we were just talking about with Ms. Palmer, here's a copy for you to look at, Ms. Johnson. Did you take these photos?
I did.
And when did you take these photos?
I took them maybe this November in the.
The hearing paused to review the exact notice requirements. Page 4 of the federal document outlines notification rules. Public housing agencies or managers must provide proper notices to tenants. Notices must accompany termination or eviction communications. Compliance ensures tenant protection under VAWA and related federal programs. The judge confirmed the details would guide the next steps. The discussion highlighted both procedural and factual disputes in the case.